Somewhere between the ages of 60 and 70, many people make a decision about food that feels responsible, disciplined, even admirable, and yet it may be quietly working against the very outcome they are hoping for. They start eating less, cutting portions, skipping meals, convinced that fewer calories automatically means a healthier, longer life. But new understanding of how the aging body actually works tells a very different story, one that most people are never given the chance to hear before they make that decision. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why less is not always better and what your body is truly asking for instead. Let's start with the assumption almost everyone carries without question. Fewer calories equals better health, especially as we age. It sounds logical. It has been repeated for decades. But here is what most people are never told. Calories are not the only thing your body is counting. Every cell in your body is constantly demanding raw materials, vitamins, minerals, specific plant compounds, protein building blocks, in order to repair itself, defend against illness, and keep vital organs functioning properly. If you simply reduce how much you eat, without paying attention to what you're eating, you may be lowering your calorie intake while simultaneously starving your body of exactly what it needs most during this critical stage of life. Now here is where this becomes personal. Think about someone you know who started eating less as they got older, smaller portions, skipping breakfast, cutting out entire food groups out of fear or habit, and yet over time they seemed more tired, not less, weaker, not stronger, more prone to getting sick, not less. This is one of the most misunderstood patterns in aging today because the goal was never simply eating less. The real goal, the one almost nobody explains properly, is eating in a way that gives your body more of what it needs, even while consuming fewer total calories. Stay with me, because in less than a minute, I'm going to explain the exact difference between the two and why confusing them could be quietly working against your health right now. Here is something that should genuinely make you pause. Research into aging and nutrition has increasingly pointed toward a concept called nutrient density, not how much food you eat, but how much nutritional value exists within that food. Two meals can contain the exact same number of calories, and yet one can be packed with the vitamins, antioxidants, and protective compounds your aging body desperately needs, while the other offers little more than empty energy, filling you up without truly nourishing you. This distinction becomes more important with every passing year because as the body ages, its ability to absorb and utilize certain nutrients naturally declines, meaning the food choices that once felt sufficient in your 30s or 40s may leave real gaps by the time you reach your 60s and 70s. Let's talk honestly about fasting because this is where so much confusion exists. Certain forms of structured fasting have shown real, documented benefits in research, supporting the body's natural cellular repair processes, improving metabolic flexibility, and in some studies even supporting long-term health markers associated with reduced disease risk. But here's the critical distinction almost nobody makes clear. There is a significant difference between strategic, well-planned periods of eating and not eating, and simply slashing calories out of fear without any structure or attention to nutrient intake during the times you do eat. One is a deliberate tool used thoughtfully with the body's needs in mind. The other is often an anxious response to aging, one that can unintentionally deprive the body of exactly what it needs to repair and defend itself. Think about what this actually means for someone in their 60s, 70s, or beyond. If you simply eat less overall without increasing the nutrient density of what you do eat, you risk creating a dangerous gap, adequate or even excessive calories in some cases, while your cells quietly go without the specific compounds required to support blood vessel health, immune defense, and cellular repair. Over time, this gap does not announce itself loudly. It shows up as slower healing, more frequent illness, and a general sense of fatigue that many people simply attribute to getting older, when in reality it may be a direct result of underfeeding the body's real nutritional needs while focused entirely on the wrong number. Here is something worth sitting with. Imagine two people, both eating roughly the same number of calories every day. One of them fills their plate with refined, processed, low-nutrient foods, while the other prioritizes vegetables, healthy fats, quality protein, and foods known to support cellular repair. On paper, their calorie intake looks identical. Inside their bodies, the outcomes could not be more different. One is likely supporting their body's ability to repair, defend, and thrive well into old age. The other may be slowly running on empty, regardless of how many calories they consume each day. This is the part that should genuinely change how you think about food, because the number on the label was never the full story. So what does responsible fasting actually look like for someone in this stage of life? Research increasingly suggests that when structured thoughtfully, time-restricted eating patterns, meaning eating within a specific window during the day rather than constantly snacking throughout, may support the body's natural repair processes without creating the nutrient deficits associated with simply eating less overall. The key difference lies in what happens during the eating window itself. If that time is used to consume nutrient-dense, high-quality food, the body receives both the metabolic benefits associated with structured fasting and the raw materials it needs to repair and maintain itself. If that same window is filled with low-quality, processed food, much of the potential benefit is lost, regardless of how disciplined the fasting schedule itself might be. This is exactly why so many well-intentioned approaches to eating less later in life fail to deliver the results people hope for. The focus stays entirely on restriction, cutting calories, cutting meals, cutting entire food groups, while the far more important question, am I still giving my body what it needs to repair and defend itself, gets completely overlooked. Real, sustainable health in the second half of life is rarely about eating dramatically less. It is about eating with far more intention, making every meal count toward the specific needs of a body that is working harder than ever to repair, defend, and maintain itself. Think about your own relationship with food right now, today. Are you focused primarily on the number of calories on the label, or are you thinking about the actual nutritional value each meal provides your body? For many people, this shift in thinking from simply eating less to eating with genuine purpose becomes one of the most important adjustments they ever make. Not because it is complicated, but because almost nobody ever explained the real difference clearly enough for it to matter. So here's my question for you. When you think about your own eating habits, do you find yourself focused more on cutting calories or on making sure every meal actually nourishes your body the way it needs? I would genuinely love to know where you currently stand, so drop your answer in the comments below because I think you'll find you are far from alone in this.